Hello. Hi. I'm Mike Jones, and I'm on a little hike today. I live at the bottom of this big mountain, and today is a good day to come up here because the road to the top has been blocked due to ice. We had a little ice and snow earlier in the week, and there's some cliffs that block the road off, so it's about a 3.5 mile hike up here. But this was a good location. I want to do a little video blog briefly about butterflies in the Belfry, Serpents in the Cellar, and the purpose of the book and who would be a good person to buy it. First of all, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not the kind of person that could ever sell cars unless there's a car I really believed in. And the purpose of this, I'm not trying to sell the book just for the sake of selling books. Whoops. I've written other books that honestly are a little bit mediocre, but this one is sort of my life's work, and I think there's a real purpose to it. And in summary, the book starts in 1988 when I was as hardcore fundamentalist evangelical as you could be. I had spent 5 years in a very intense discipleship training program, and then got married, and we had 2 kids and took off as missionaries to Muslims in the Middle East. And we picked that site because it was hard, and we were very, as they would say, hardcore back in those days. But I suffered a very severe disillusionment with evangelicalism. And it came about, in summary, for 2 reasons. One is the people that I really looked up to as being godly, I would say disappointed me greatly. It was the level of their cruelty that I experienced on the mission field was one thing. But then the other thing that caused a crisis of faith for me was my own anger about the situation. I thought I was a saint, this godly man who had done, 15 years of discipleship training and all this, and gone through all the conferences and read all the books and memorized scripture and did all these things. And I really saw myself as just this really godly kind of guy that would never have any flaws like that. So those 2 things caused a complete collapse of not only my evangelicalism and my Christian faith, but emotionally I went through a very long period of pretty severe depression. But the book picks up at that point, and one of the great things that came out of that experience was an intense desire to understand what the hell just happened to me and what happened to other people I met who had gone through the same great disillusionment. So I started on this path to understand, and this path has taken me 20 years. I've traveled the entire world doing research. I've read countless books and lectures and gone to meetings and it just goes on and on and on. And the best way I can describe this journey of mine is a little bit like the Tom Hanks character in the Da Vinci Codes. But different from that, I did stumble on what I think is the answer or solution to why so many people become disillusioned with evangelicalism. But different from the Da Vinci Codes. Da Vinci Codes is a fictional story, and it's based on this wild idea about the Gnostic Gospels and this great conspiracy. Well, my story, or the thing that I discovered, wasn't some great conspiracy. It's information that's out there that, every theologian, every church historian knows about. And it wasn't a plan to end up, corrupting or like in the Da Vinci Codes. But some things that's happened along the way with Christianity that's changed it. And I really think it's important that we understand that and try to get back to this very simple, natural Christianity that it started with when Christ was on earth. So my book, I don't want to say target, that's what they say in marketing, but the audience I wrote this for, thinking of, are people like me who have either suffered a very severe disillusionment with Christianity or are on the edge of it, who are starting to have some serious doubts, things like 6,000-year-old Earth, and do I have to be a Republican? What happened in the election this year? What about miracles? Well, just all these things that just starting to not make sense anymore. And so the purpose of this book is sort of, as I said in it, that I went before people with a machete trying to blaze my trail through this post-evangelical wilderness to try to make sense of things. So that's the audience I hope the book reaches, and I think it would be very, very helpful for people like that. Now, it was a challenge writing the book, because to tell the story right, you have to be honest, and you have to be comprehensive. And I take on the subject with a very, I would say, severe candor about my own personality, my own experiences, and some people find that offensive. Also, the information, when I wrote my first manuscript, I think it was well over 500 pages. It was an encyclopedia that no one would want to read. And I've been cutting down and summarizing. And I had 3 really good editors help me work on it to try to get it down to the basic. But still, some people will find parts of it very deep and maybe a little bit hard to follow. But I left the essential characters I think you had to know about. Probably at one point had 50 characters I was following, and every time I introduced a new historical figure or character, I'd have to follow that rabbit hole and explain more about them. But now I've cut a lot of those characters out, so it's down to the essential ones. But at the end of the book, I sort of knit all these things together, and how it made sense, how it set the groundwork for me to have this major fall in my evangelicalism. So that's a summary of the book. That's who it's for, and I hope that makes more sense. And I will turn you back to this beautiful scenery here. You won't be able to see it on the videotape, but in the distance is Mount Rainier. I can see it with my naked eye, but it's sort of fogged in. But just give you a clue where I'm at. And then my house is around the corner down there. And now that I've been drowning in sweat on a sunny day, I'm going to turn around and start climbing back down off of this rock.